It's Tuesday, December 7. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. Frontline workers and persons aged 60 and over who had initially received the Johnson & Johnson single-dose shot can look forward to getting booster shots next week. According to the Health Ministry, those who had received AstraZeneca or Pfizer shots initially will be eligible for Pfizer boosters 6 months after they took their second dose. The move comes as scientists are still trying to better understand the newest Omicron variant. In a release on Monday, Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton said, quote, "The decision is based on the science and the expert position. Secondly, on the availability of stock. We have received a shipment of Pfizer just under 100,000 a few days ago, and we will receive another 100,000 next week." End quote. Prime Minister Andrew Holness is expected to tell the country today in Parliament what, if any, restrictions are to be introduced for the upcoming holidays and the new year. This as the latest set of measures under the Disaster Risk Management Act expires on Wednesday, December 9. COVID-19 and its management were key discussions at a recent cabinet retreat. There is concern about the spread of the Omicron COVID-19 variant, which has already been detected in some 38 countries, including the United Kingdom and the United States. In his last address to Parliament on COVID-19 measures, Mr. Holness signaled that his administration was not inclined to reimpose lockdowns going forward.
It is the greatest conundrum I find myself in, Madam Speaker, to promulgate measures to keep people safe, but to have people quarrel about those measures. So we're cautiously, as I said, cautiously taking them down slowly but surely, keeping the warnings that we are not out of the pandemic, we are moving into a new phase, and we have to still maintain our caution, and that the only way out of it is to get vaccinated.
In the meantime, the World Health Organization, WHO, has urged countries to reassess their pandemic response program in light of the new variant.
So what we are asking all countries to do right now is to reassess your situation, critically reassess your situation, and look at what you're doing. First, look at your vaccine, access to vaccine and your vaccination policies, and focus on those who are most at risk first. It's not just about the number of people who have been vaccinated, it's who is vaccinated.
You can watch today's sitting of Parliament live right here on PBCJ or catch our live stream on our social media platforms. Come February 2022, the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce and Industry will join the stakeholders in St. James to stage a major crime summit. Pbcj's President Janet Silvera made the disclosure while addressing the St. James Municipal Corporation's multi-sectorial forum held at the Montego Bay Cultural Center recently. The two-day event will focus on devising counteractive measures to tackle crime and violence in Montego Bay and the wider St. James Parish. Issues to be laid on the table include health disaster risk management, infrastructure, and traffic management, as well as policing strategies, COVID-19 and vaccination, among others. The National Works Agency, NWA, says there are no plans to destroy the Roselle Falls in St. Thomas as work continues on the Southern Coastal Highway Improvement Project. This news follows calls for a temporary stop order on works until further information on the plans for the area was provided and approved by the St. Thomas Municipal Corporation. Communications manager for the NWA, Stephen Shaw, toured the area along with members of the St. Thomas Municipal Council. Mr. Shaw explains that his team will work to protect the natural waterfalls which are located along the roadway. He says only remedial work is being undertaken in the area and the falls would be preserved.
We are going to be ensuring that the pedestrians and the persons who come here, whether to bathe or just to sightsee, they will have a pleasing look at a pleasing feel in this space.
Following the tour and further discussions, Councillor of the White Horses Division, Herbert Williams, says he's somewhat satisfied.
It's important for us to tell the residents exactly what going to be the future of the farm. In terms of the major farm, Mr. Shaw give us his commitment that it will remain where it is, it will be untouched in terms of negatively. I must say also that we agree upon putting a pedestrian barrier to protect pedestrians, because the road is going to become much faster.
According to Mr. Shaw, the scope of work involves the modernizing of drains in Roselle and the laying of water and telecommunication lines. The municipal corporation's concerns that the falls could be damaged by roadworks had led to a launch of an online petition which amassed about 4,500 signatures. In today's business report, host Gabriel Thompson zooms in on Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clarke's recent address at the Open Government Partnership Summit. Plus, we get our usual daily market updates.
In foreign exchange trading for Monday, December 6, the US dollar sold for an average $155.87. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $124.16. The pound sterling traded for $205.55, and the euro sold for an average $179.42. In Monday's trading session, the JSE Combined Index declined by 1,608 points to close at under 400,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 90 stocks, of which 35 advanced, 37 declined, and 18 traded firm. The Junior Market Index declined by 16 points to close at over 3,000 units. Stocks advanced for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, 1834 Investments Limited, and Access Financial Services Limited. Trading firm were AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited, Barita Investments Limited, and Caribbean Assurance Brokers Limited. Stocks declined for Blue Power Group Limited, CAC 2000 Limited, and Epley 7.5% preference shares. Lumber Depot Limited was the volume leader with over 4 million units, followed by Carreras Limited with over 2.4 million units, and Wigton Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares with over 2.2 million units. In market data for oil, prices edged up on Tuesday after a near 5% rebound the day before, as concerns about the impact of the Omicron variant on global fuel demand eased, while Iran nuclear talks hit roadblocks, delaying the return of Iranian crude supplies. Brent crude futures rose 34 cents or 0.5% to $73.42 a barrel after settling 4.6% higher on Monday. West Texas Intermediate crude was at $69.92 a barrel, up 43 cents or 0.6%, building on a 4.9% gain in the previous session. Oil prices were pummeled last week over concerns that vaccines might be less effective against the new coronavirus variant Omicron, sparking fears that governments may reimpose restrictions to curb its spread and hit global growth and oil demand. Minister of Finance and the Public Service Dr. Nigel Clarke recently addressed the Open Government Partnership on the occasion of their 10th anniversary. The 2021 OGP Global Summit will be held from December 15 to 17, 2021 in Seoul, Republic of Korea. Dr. Clarke says the government has pursued and is pursuing policies aligned with the open government principles.
Recent initiatives undertaken by the Government of Jamaica include the launch of a public investment map on which information on the Government of Jamaica's public investment projects is publicly accessible. It also includes the passage of legislation to provide independence to Jamaica's central bank and passage of legislation for an independent fiscal commission in Jamaica. These are tangible representations of the government of Jamaica's commitment to principles of accountability and transparency in public administration. Jamaica is committed to completing our first National Action Plan under the OGP and monitoring and reporting on its implementation through to August 2023. The draft commitments developed for the first National Action Plan through the co-creation process with civil society stakeholders reflect a focus on strengthening access to and provision of public information and open data, including through the deployment of technology and increasing avenues for civic participation. Jamaica's first National Action Plan will be well aligned with the themes of the summit for strengthening civic space and public participation, tackling corruption, and promoting inclusive digital innovation. Jamaica also stands to gain and learn from the various innovative approaches to openness undertaken by other member countries. The OGP process allows us to leverage a multilateral architecture to achieve our national priorities in full visibility of the international community and through broad-based local participation and consultation. Once again, congratulations to OGP for supporting in meaningful ways countries' open government priorities for 10 years and counting.
And on that note, we close this edition of the Business Report Inside the News on PBCJ. I'm Gabrielle Thompson. Pleasant viewing.
We turn to news from across the region. As the world watches the Omicron coronavirus variant, Health Minister for the Bahamas, Dr. Michael Darvell, admits health officials are having trouble meeting the demand for nurses amid a serious shortage. Bethany McDermott reports.
As the country continues to battle a severe nursing shortage, Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Michael Darvell admitting today that finding nurses to staff the country's healthcare facilities is proving to be a challenge. This, as he says, they're looking to fill 30 spots.
We have been in discussions with the Nursing Council. We have had discussions with the unions as it relates to try to fill in the gaps. From my initial assessment, we have been informed that there is a deficiency of some 30 specialty nurses, and we need to move swiftly to see exactly if we can find them.
Darvell stressed that the time to fill these positions is now, while the Bahamas is seeing low COVID numbers. However, as government looks to recruit these nurses, Bahamian nurses are being recruited by other countries, making an already difficult situation worse.
There are people in our country recruiting our nurses for the developed world, and this is what we have to compete with, and so we must find ways to ensure that we try to keep our nurses at home once they finish the program by offering better packages and other incentives.
The Bahamas has long faced a nursing deficit, even before COVID-19 brought the world to its knees. The issue became a vital one during the pandemic as hospitals quickly became overwhelmed, stretching the staff complement. At multiple points during the second and third waves, beds were available but could not be used because of the shortage of nurses. Several nurses in the Bahamas have died of COVID-19, while others have left the country for opportunities elsewhere.
The last wave was a difficult wave, and we have stretched our healthcare manpower resources to the limit, and we are so pleased that we have a slight break where some of them could actually recuperate and get some rest. But with that being said, we cannot underestimate the possibility of something similar happening to us.
Now, with a drastic decrease in COVID-19 cases and hospitalization, the Health and Wellness Minister says this has given them the opportunity to focus on other specialty areas. Reporting for Our News, I'm Bethany McDermott.
In Trinidad and Tobago, 4 babies have contracted COVID-19 from their mothers. The director in the Directorate of Women's Health says the cases are newborn babies who were identified as COVID-19 positive at delivery. Kimberly D'Souza reports.
These 4 cases that I did mention are in 4 babies, newborn babies at delivery, where we actually picked up, and we believe these are mother-to-child transmissions.
Director in the Directorate of Women's Health, Dr. Adish Surju Singh, said 2 of the babies are well and asymptomatic, but 1 case was stillbirth, which is a recognized complication of COVID-19. The 4th case is still under investigation. Dr. Surju Singh said pregnant mothers and babies are screened for COVID-19.
We have a very rigorous process where our patients are being screened when they're coming in for delivery, if you're having a cesarean section, during antenatal visits, and therefore we are detecting COVID in our pregnant patients. And if you are in the labor ward and you deliver, these babies are swabbed at birth as part of our protocol.
According to Dr. Surju Singh, pregnant women are physiologically compromised, especially in the second half of pregnancy. He said the risk is doubled with the introduction of the Delta variant, which is easily transmissible and causes more severe disease.
The good news is that we haven't seen any syndrome where the COVID virus is actually affecting the baby and causing fetal anomalies. The fetus can be affected in terms of having smaller babies, preterm babies, but then I did mention that we have seen mother-to-child transmission.
Dr. Surju Singh said the virus is largely affecting the unvaccinated population and urged pregnant women to get inoculated against the virus. He also revealed the country has crossed a threshold with 7 maternal deaths for the year, of which 4 were related to COVID-19. Kimberly D'Souza, TTT News.
In Grenada, Minister with responsibility for Information and Communications Technology, Pamela Moses, says the government is working towards preserving important documents and making them easily accessible online. Here's more in this report.
This government is embarking on digital transformation as part of efforts to modernize the public sector and improving the efficiency of resilience of government services.
On December 6, 2020, government announced its plans to digitize critical public records, such as birth, death, and marriage certificates, enabling the government for the first time to deliver online services in these areas. This was announced by Prime Minister and former Minister for Finance, Dr. Keith Mitchell, as he delivered the 2020 budget.
We are also poised for the rollout of the Digital Government for Resilience project, which is funded by the World Bank. Once again, because of our sticking to fiscal prudence, we have been able to get $15 million from the World Bank for this project. This project will help to revolutionize the provision of government services through digital transformation, continuing to enhance the efficiency, usage, and resilience of select government services via a digital platform. Mr. Speaker, this project would digitize critical public records such as birth, death, marriage certificates, motor vehicle licenses, and registration.
The promise is repeated this time by a minister in the Prime Minister's office with responsibility for special projects, needy assistance and ICT, Mrs. Pamela Moses. She says that government is working towards a system that will preserve important documents.
Our birth papers, our death certificates, our marriage certificates, all of these documents are now being copied and converted into digital forms that will be stored in a government data center. Well, let us call it cloud infrastructure, Mr. Speaker.
For years, members of the Grenada Bar Association have complained about the need to preserve documents within the Supreme Court registry, and members of the public have also complained about the quality of important documents, such as property documents. Mrs. Moses said the process has already started, which is significant.
Mr. Speaker, in the upcoming year, we would also be allowing all Grenadians, for the very first time, all citizens would be able to, 1, apply, 2, pay for, 3, receive an online or a digital birth certificate for the very first time.
Cherry and Blackman Stephen, GBN News.
In sports, we kick off with schoolboy football. 4 schools are set to battle for the final 2 places in the quarterfinals of the Inter-Secondary Schools Sports Association Digitizing DaCosta Cup football competition. The Zone E playoffs will see Glenmuir High versus defending champions Clarendon College, while Edwin Allen will take on Lennon High. Both matches are slated for 3 p.m. Over now to cricket. 2022 is expected to be an active international calendar year. Early in the year, West Indies will host Ireland for 4 white ball matches. Sabina Park in Jamaica will host 3 one-day internationals from January 8 to January 14 and a one-off 2020 international on January 16, which is expected to serve as a veteran left-hander Chris Gale's international farewell. Cricket West Indies Chief Executive Johnny Grave says, quote, "This will be the start of a very busy year for us at CWI as we host several international teams as well as the ICC Men's Under-19 Cricket World Cup." End quote. The Ireland tour comes on the tail end of a busy 2021 for West Indies as the region hosted the likes of Sri Lanka, South Africa, Australia and Pakistan in tests and white ball matches. And with that, we're out of here. Join us tomorrow, same time, same place for more news and sports right here on PBCJ, the People's Station.